Hey guys, it's Tori from Calypso Creative Planning, and I've got a brand new book journal with me video for you guys today. This is a spread I did for Dark Fae by Peckham and Susanne Valenti, and this was actually the second time that I read this book. So the first time I didn't collect any quotes, this time I did, and I struggled a little bit to make room for all of them. So check it out. It's been a while since I've narrated one of my book journaling videos, so I thought I'd do it with this one. I'm clicking on the day that I started reading this book. Like I said at the beginning, this is the second time I've read this book. The first time was, I don't even know. I don't remember when the first time was, but I discovered this. It had the old cover, so this is the new updated cover, but I decided to do a reread of this series when the final book was coming out. So I grabbed all of them all over again from Kindle Unlimited and started reading them from the very beginning of this series. So that's when I started collecting quotes, and I just love this whole series. This writing duo, sister duo, is just fantastic. They have great books. For planning in my book journal, I'm currently using NoteShelf. Most of my other planning is done in GoodNotes, but when I tested out NoteShelf, that's kind of when I started using this book journal. So you'll see some features here that you won't see in GoodNotes, one of which is the little emoji type of thing. So I like to play around with different ways of rating the books that I read with different fun emojis, and since this has got like the purple look, if you haven't figured that out, we're going with this purple look. I thought the little purple hearts would be cute. So this book journal, if you haven't seen this before, I have monthly calendars that have each day of the month is linked to a book review page. So on this page I use the monthly page to note down like when I start reading a book, and then use the highlighter to mark off like the span of my reading. And then on the book review page, I add the book cover, which I get asked a lot, like, where do I get the book covers? I'm just screenshotting on my iPad from my Amazon order, so that I just have the cover and I just crop it down and fit on here. And I usually end up resizing the cover depending on how much information I put on the page. But each of these book review pages has all of this space so you can write all the book details. And then when I'm reading in my Kindle, after I'm done, I export my highlights and have it sent to my email. So that's what this is. I can just copy and paste the quotes that I've highlighted throughout the reading journey. And then once I pull them all in, then I just kind of like can resize them and space them out. And some books I only end up with like a couple highlights. Some I end up like, this doesn't look like too many highlights. I mean, I guess it is, but some of them are kind of long. So one of my favorite things about digital planning is that, and yes, this is going to be kind of like a rambly type of video today, so be prepared. You can mute me if you want. That's fine. I won't be too offended. But one of my favorite things about digital planning is that you're not stuck with the layout you start out with. So if I was journaling this in like a paper planner, then, you know, if I stick down stickers, if I write my notes, I'm stuck with it. But with digital planning, you can move them all around. And as you can see here, I'm starting to run out of room already. I'm not even through with my quotes. I'm starting to run out of room. So I could decrease the size of my text. If you're paper planning, you can't do that. You can't go back and resize your handwriting, right? So I can decrease the size of my text, or I can start moving things around. And that's what I decided to do. Is I could tell that I was running out of room, so I resized the cover and started moving around some of my quotes. And I ended up having to do this more than once because there's a couple of these quotes that are like really long. And I don't know if you're reading these quotes as I'm putting them in here, or if you're just listening to me kind of like drone on, but these quotes are great. There's some really great ones. And whenever I was going back and doing this, I'm really behind in my book journaling, so I'm really good at staying on top of my monthly pages, but the actual book review pages just kind of like build up and I do them later. And sometimes, like this particular one, when I was planning out my posts for the week, I was like, okay, what book cover matches all of my spreads? And since I'm kind of going with like a purple look this week, I thought this one would be great. I love these new covers, by the way. If you compare the old covers to these new ones for the whole series, these are just so great. Okay, so I lost my train of thought there for a moment because my phone started ringing in the other room and I had to pause what I was doing, but I'm back. Okay. All right. So quotes and covers. Okay. So the beauty of digital planning is that when you realize that you're running out of room, you can resize things over and over and over again. And it just makes planning so much easier and journaling so much easier. And I'm loving collecting these quotes. Not all the books I read end up with like a bunch of quotes like this. Like, I mean, those are whole freaking paragraphs right there, but they're just so good that I couldn't not get them. And I'm really glad that I reread this series because it's so good. And I didn't collect quotes along the way the first time I read it. And once I started collecting quotes and like really, journaling more like this, I was really, missing out because I mean, it's such a good book, such a good series that rereading it just gave me that opportunity to go back and collect some of these quotes. I mean, I could go and like, I'm sure there's, favorite quotes on like Goodreads or something that I could go and pull, but these are the ones that I like the most. So whether you're, reading on your Kindle like I am, or reading, like the paperbacks, which are beautiful, by the way, it's fun to collect quotes along the way. And if you're reading, on paperback, so you can't just like export your highlights at the end of it, then you just keep your book journal beside you while you read and, do not fold down the corners of your books to save those quotes. Pet peeve of mine. Just, it hurts my heart. Like, don't do that. It's one thing if it's like a textbook, who cares about that? But like books, like don't fold down the pages of your books. It's just so sad. Pet peeve. Just pet peeve of mine. But having a book journal like this, it allows you to collect these fun things, whether you're reading on Kindle or on like paperback. Either one, you can just write your quotes down or, stick a Post-it note. There you go. Post-it notes. If you're reading a paperback, just stick a little Post-it in there, come back and get that quote later, but don't fold down the corners of the books. Just don't do it. I could tell you a story about a time I was in kind of like this book club reading circle type of thing somewhere that I used to work, and like us girls would like trade books all the time, and this one girl borrowed a book and brought it back, and like I must have made a face whenever she brought the book back because it was in such, like, I treat my books so well. I mean, I mostly read on Kindle now, but my paperbacks and hardbacks, I treat them so well, and she did not treat my book well. I must have made a face because as she was handing it to me, she looked like confused, and then she pulled it back and she said, "You know what? I'll just buy you another copy." And she did, which was nice of her. She didn't have to do that, but I know I made a face. But it's like, just treat your books with kindness, people. Love them. Treat them with kindness. Anyways, okay, so now we're getting into the decorating phase of this, and I pulled in just some purple lines, some purple highlights, and now I'm going to pull in some stickers. I warned you this is going to be kind of like a rambly post, but this is the Dark Queen sticker set by Last Rituals, and I love this set. It's so pretty. I've been using it a lot the past few days, like, because I just got it like last week and I've been using it a lot. And I thought it would go perfectly with this book cover, and I just love it. And this quote right here from the sticker set just goes great. So I had to work that in somewhere. And your digital planning, so you can like move things around. If this was like paper stickers, you could not do that. So digital planning, it's the way to go, people. It is the way to go. This moth, is it a moth? Butterfly? It's a moth. I think it's a moth. I mean, it makes most sense, right? So freaking pretty. Love this. So after I got all my quotes on here, I can see, you know, where I can add stickers, and, you know, sometimes there's more room than others. This one, there was not a lot of room left, but just a little bit of decoration, and it just looks so pretty. I'm so happy with how this spread came together. Had to throw in a little bit of gold in here, the purple and the gold. It just looks so good. I just love it. And I decided to use my little crop, you know, little technique, but Note Shelf for some reason was not letting me crop this where I wanted, so I had to crop it twice. So crop it once and then crop it again to get what I wanted, so I could line it up with the page. And I just thought that that just looked lovely, right? And then just one more. Let's grab this little glittery circle and throw that on here in a couple different places. And because I'm using Note Shelf, I can put it over here to the side and say send to the back, and it goes behind the moth. And oh my gosh, I love it. It's so freaking pretty. Go read this book. Bye, guys.